Eusebio Pedrosa of Panama in London last night has received tributes from all over the world, including messages from President Reagan and the Irish Prime Minister Dr. Garret Fitzgerald. The Irishman outpointed the champion in a fight already being hailed as one of the greatest staged in Britain for many years. And today, McGuigan revealed that he won the title carrying a bad arm injury.
At midnight, McGuigan's hometown was in uproar. Half of the 3,000 population of Clones, just over the Ulster border, had gone to the match. Now the other half were on the streets, dancing, chanting and singing that the man they'd named the Clones Cyclone had become the world champion. Earlier, they'd packed McGuigan's family hotel, cheering him through 15 rounds of the toughest fight of his life. Up until round 7 and Pedrosa's first fall, the outcome was uncertain. From then on, the match commentary was completely drowned. The crowd had decided the conclusion, and they were right. Katie McGuigan, Barry's mother, served at the checkout in her shop throughout the fight. She couldn't bear to watch, but she was sure that he'd win.
Oh. Oh, it's been worth it all, everything. It's been worth it all. Isn't it wonderful?
What do you want to do now? What do you feel like doing? Dancing?
Yes, I'm going to dance with Tony McEntee on the diamond later on. He said he would dance with me later on.
Tiny Irish eyes, too, were allowed to catch a glimpse of the fun for a moment, as Barry McGuigan's mother was hoisted shoulder high by a crowd who simply refused to stop singing. For Mrs. McGuigan, though, the night's festivities were to come to an abrupt conclusion. Around dawn, the rear of the McGuigan's home caught fire. The roof was well alight, and it took firemen over an hour to extinguish the flames. No one was hurt, but it was a traumatic experience for Mrs. McGuigan. The fire, probably caused by an electrical fault, destroyed 2 rooms, and with them, all video recordings of Barry's previous fights.
The champion arrived with his family at his victory press conference, looking as fresh and fit as though the fight was tomorrow night. Hardly a mark showed on his face, but he confirmed his left arm had almost given way last night, despite days of treatment.
I said to Eddie and Mr. Eastwood, "My bloody elbow's gone." And Mr. Eastwood says, "You can beat this guy with one hand, shut up."
Now he could even joke about the fire back home in Clones, and told how he heard the news, which had been embellished beautifully by a bit of pure blarney.
My Auntie Breach had run back up the stairs, and she was still in the room. So they were outside, and all the boys were out wondering what was going on, you see, and she was still up in the room. And of course, they were all half pissed, you know, so they got this big sheet, and we're all out going, "Right, jump there, jump, jump." My father says, and then when she jumps out, they go, "Ha!"
Auntie Breach suffered, thankfully, no worse than a hangover, along with apparently half the Irish sporting press. They couldn't resist joining in with just one more chorus of Ulster's anthem. ITN in central London.
A conquering hero today. 50,000 people gave him a rapturous welcome in Belfast when he returned earlier than expected after a fire at the family home.
Early afternoon, and life in Belfast city centre stopped for this surprise celebration. Everyone wanted to shake the hand of the boxer who's brought pride and joy to a province which needs both more than most. So the city abandoned work and simply clapped and cheered as the McGuigan cavalcade made its way through the city centre. More than 30,000 people surrounded Belfast City Hall, and the celebration proper got underway with Belfast Unionist Lord Mayor John Carson. It's little surprise that McGuigan has the support of both communities here, and no one is more eager than him to try to lift morale, as John Carson quickly found out. They battled their way through to try to shake his hand, and everyone at the City Hall prepared to greet him. Then it was an official escort, and through to the hastily arranged civic reception, where the champion was to be congratulated by local councillors. Outside, the crowds cheered again as McGuigan waved to them from an upstairs balcony.
Barry, very briefly, what do you think of the reaction here today?
It's incredible. It's worth every punch I've ever thrown. It's worth everything. I can't explain how I feel. It's fantastic. Fantastic.
Did you ever imagine that your welcome would be like this?
No. I never thought it would be like this. I never thought it would be anything like this, especially at such short notice. I just came home quickly to see my mum and that. I mean, the amount of people that come out at short notice is just quite incredible. I mean, this is just absolutely fantastic. I didn't realise it. I just never realised. I can't explain it. I just don't know what to say anymore. It's just unbelievable. I love it.
And tonight the celebrations are likely to be even bigger when McGuigan returns to his hometown of Clones, just south of the Ulster border. Michael Macmillan, ITN in Belfast.
Weight champion on his way home. With his wife Sandra and his baby son Blaine, he caught the normal 10:30 shuttle back to Belfast exactly a week after flying out of Northern Ireland in search of glory. He was the hero of the hour, but once on board he settled down quietly to catch up with newspaper reports of his triumph and share his memories with manager Barney Eastwood. When the drinks trolley came round, he refused the offer of an Irish whiskey and settled instead for a very English coffee. And he contemplated with glee the celebrations which lay ahead, even though he at least would remain stone-cold sober.
Don't drink, but we'll have plenty of soft drinks and plenty to eat and plenty of fun. That's the important thing, and a good peaceful time, and we'll enjoy ourselves, everybody. I want them all to celebrate.
And celebrate they did, first at the airport, with the city's Lord Mayor there to greet him and tell him for the first time that he was expected in the city within the hour for a civic reception. He drove himself, and there to greet him were tens of thousands, one of the biggest crowds in Belfast in living memory. His wife and his little boy shared the limelight, and in what was a genuinely emotional occasion, the champion seemed happy simply to have brought joy to so many.
Thank you all very, very much. Thanks to all the kids for coming off school, and thanks to the teachers for allowing them out. And thanks for coming down. And I'm sorry that I can't shake hands with everybody and give us all a cuddle. I'd love to do it with each and every one of us. And I love you all, and it's great to be here.
And so, through the city he went on a float designed as a boxing ring. Everywhere, people and more people, all grabbing any vantage point they could, all of them smiling. Barry McGuigan did not set out to bring people together, but that's precisely what he has done, and he's deeply aware of his responsibilities. For a short time at least, the people of Ireland, north and south, are able to forget the violence and the hatred. Because Barry McGuigan, their Barry McGuigan, was coming home the champion.
The city of Belfast.
Despite the pouring rain, he drove into town with his wife and parents in an open-top bus, and the market square was packed. The celebrations will last well into the night and for days to come, because the man they call the Clones Cyclone has come home a champion.
There was an air of rarely rivaled excitement. First, though, the reason for his early return, a chance to be reunited with his mother, Katie, who escaped injury following a fire at the family home on Sunday night, a few hours after he'd clinched the world title. And so they drove into Clones, and the boxer's delight couldn't be concealed. Thousands had waited for him, and they clapped and cheered as he arrived. And a packed town centre heard the world champion assure them that he was glad to be back. Earlier, life in Belfast city centre stopped for the... Likely to continue for some days and probably weeks too. Michael Macmillan, News at 10, Clones, County Monaghan.